Everyone talks about the ultimate UK cliffside walk, but which is better, the iconic Seven Sisters or the rugged, ancient Jurassic Coast? To start, we're heading straight down to the town of Eastbourne. We arrived here just in time to admire the pretty Victorian seafront before the sunset, and we couldn't help but notice the enormous, blinding white cliffs looming in the distant fog, because that's where we're going tomorrow. Our mission today was simple: to truly experience the raw, untouched nature of the Seven Sisters. That meant first finding the best viewpoints from both above and below, and hunting down the famous Beachy Head Lighthouse, which is a place that I've wanted to see for years now, so I can't wait any longer. Let's start right there. We parked up, and after just a 10-minute walk, we were at the coast and ready to find our lighthouse. Beachy Head is actually the highest chalk cliff in the UK. We started walking up towards the tallest point, scaling the windswept South Downs National Park and seeing the landscape just rolling out infinitely behind us. It took us a good few attempts to spot it. It is quite well hidden down there, but eventually we peered over the edge of the cliff and there it was. So next up, we drove another 10 minutes down the coast to one of the best viewpoints of the Seven Sisters, a place called Birling Gap. The metal staircase here makes it the easiest point to access the shingle beach below, and from down here, the towering scale of these cliffs truly speaks for itself. And before we leave the Seven Sisters, for the ultimate photo opportunity, we drove yet another 10 minutes down the coast to Seaford Head, a natural point that juts out and gives this panoramic view over all 7 of the chalk cliffs. Before we head west, how can we resist stopping off at some of the more iconic sites in this part of the country? This, for example, a short detour to the town of Battle if you've got a couple of hours, the very site that the Battle of Hastings took place in 1066. And you also can't miss this 14th century moated castle that looks like something straight out of a fantasy novel. There may be many much larger and more iconic castles within the UK, but this one really has some kind of fantastical quality that the others might lack. But now, onto the Jurassic Coast. The Jurassic Coast is a 95-mile stretch, and here the challenge isn't the continuous walk, but stopping off at loads of iconic places dotted all along this coastline that you'll be spoiled for choice. And to start, we're going to focus on this short stretch, starting with the magnificent Durdle Door. This is the power of the sea at its very best, carving a giant hole in the rock over thousands of years. And I think there's definitely a reason why this is one of the most iconic sites in the country. From here, we did a beautiful 2-mile walk down the coast to Lulworth Cove, which is not too difficult, besides the long, gradual climb down into the village at Lulworth, and it's lined with this small, characteristically English-style village. Which brings me quite nicely to the key difference between the Seven Sisters and Jurassic Coast. Whereas there, you really feel like you're a million miles from anywhere, on the Jurassic Coast, you're never too far from a tea room to grab a cake and a drink, and the entire area is just designed perfectly for exploration. But if you do want a Jurassic Coast view that feels a little bit more like the Seven Sisters, we're heading there next because this is the Old Harry Rocks. These are three distinct chalk stacks right on the eastern tip of the Jurassic Coast, and they're dramatically beautiful, feeling utterly remote. But again, the access here is quite easy, just a short 1 mile hike to get there. So maybe it's just the best of both. And if you head slightly inland here as well for another break from the sea air, you'll see things like Cove Castle, the ruin that sits dramatically atop this hill overlooking the village, and places like the Blue Pool that again really gives you an idea of the interesting geology of this area. Both the Seven Sisters and the Jurassic Coast might be known for their natural beauty, but they offer fundamentally different experiences. The Seven Sisters is a long, continuous stretch of untouched chalk cliffs with challenging walks and no civilization in sight. And the Jurassic Coast is more about exploring distinct, isolated landmarks while still being close to civilization. Overall, whichever of these places you choose to explore, you can't go wrong. But I did set out making this video to try to come across some kind of definitive answer. But really, the closest answer I can get is that it really depends on what you're looking for. I think the real victory here is realizing that wherever you're based in the UK, you're never that far from a gorgeous coastline. And while we've focused on just these two in this video, the story doesn't end here. There's also the raw beauty of the Pembrokeshire coast in Wales, the dramatic heights of the cliffs of Dover, and even the hidden coves of Flamborough Head in Yorkshire. And that's the real takeaway from this video. If you want to find a real adventure, you don't have to look far. And we've got so many adventures on the channel already and coming up in the near future. So if you did enjoy this one, please do consider subscribing to see more. Thank you for watching.